Assalamualaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. How is everyone? Hope that you all are well, enjoying your learning, preparing for the exams. Okay, today we are going to solve the most recent paper, February-March 2025, 047812. This is Computer Science Paper 1, Computer Systems. The duration is 1 hour 45 minutes. You have to answer on the question paper. No additional materials are needed. Instructions, a little revision, repetition of the same as we have been discussing. You have to answer all the questions, use a black or a dark blue pen. You may use an HB pencil for any diagrams. Write your name, center number, and candidate number in the given spaces at the top of the page. Write your answer to each question in the given space. Do not use an erasable pen or correction fluid at all, so please do not carry it with you. Do not write on any barcodes. Calculators must not be used in the paper, so please do not carry the calculator to the examination hall. The paper is of 75 marks. The marks are given for each question or part question in the brackets. There's no mark which will be awarded in case you are using the brand names of software packages or hardware, so please refrain from using the brand names. These are the same instructions as we have been discussing in the class, and you know them very well. Okay, now question number 1. Complete the sentences about number systems. Use the items from the list. Some of the items in the list will not be used. You should only use an item once. Now, this is a paragraph. This is a very easy one. You can do it in your book very quickly. In your you can attend this paragraph very quickly, and then we will discuss it together. Done? Okay, maybe discuss. Okay, now one sentence. Yes, Adi, you can see the first sentence here. The binary number system is base blank. It is base 2. The smallest denary number that can be represented as an 8-bit binary number is a 0, not a 1. Yes, exactly. That is the trick. The smallest number is a 0. And the largest denary number that can be represented as an 8-bit binary number is 255. See, so simple. 8 bits, all of 0. All on, you add them, the value is 255. Isn't it? See, it's so simple. Smallest value is a 0 because all the bits are off. The largest value is 255 when all the bits are turned on. Now, exactly, it's not 256. It's not going to be 255 because 256 will be the total number. If they had asked about the total number of values represented in denary, then you will mention 256. That is what this is how they trick us actually. The hexadecimal number system is base 16. Each hexadecimal digit is equivalent to how many bits? Exactly 4 bits. The numbers 1 to 9 are used, and the number 10 is represented by, the blank is going to contain A. The hexadecimal number system continues up to the number 15, which is represented by the letter F. See, by F, this is how we remember exactly. We have been doing it in the class. So some of the options given to us are completely wrong. Like there's no G, H, W, X, Y, Z at all. So you're going to definitely ignore them. Now, similarly, you can see there are something which are completely out of question. So now the close calls were between like A, B, C, D, E, F. And similarly, the values 255 and 256, and this is how they trick you. And same case goes for the smallest value represented in a denary number. Some students might think it to be a 1, which is wrong. So this is how you can easily score 7 out of 7 just by being a bit cautious with your learning and recalling it at the right time. Easy? Okay, can we move to the next question? Okay, part B. Two 8-bit binary numbers are given. Add the two 8-bit binary numbers using binary addition. Give your answer in binary. Show all your working. And this is going to be, you can see from here, starting from the LSB, least significant bit, 1 plus 1, 0 with a carry of 1, as you can see here. Now it is 1, 1, 1, 3 ones. 1, 1, 1 means 1 with a carry of 1. 1, 0, 0 will be a 1. 1 plus 0 will be a 1. So this is your first nibble. Fine. So you're done with the first nibble. It's so simple. Just be cautious. Any question you can ask. 1 plus 1, 0 with a carry of 1. 1, 1, 1 will be 1 with a carry of 1. 1 plus 0 will be a 1. And 1 plus 0 will be a 1. Any questions? Now 1 plus 1, 0 with a carry of 1. 1 plus 0 will be a 1. 0 plus 0 is a 0. And 1 plus 0 is a 1. So in this manner, you can easily score the marks if you have remembered the binary addition principles, and the marks are yours. Easy? Will we move ahead? Okay, part C. Binary addition can result in overflow. Tick one box to show the correct definition of overflow in binary addition. Now just do it quickly and then we will discuss. Which one is the correct option? The answer has created a negative number that cannot be represented in binary addition. The answer is the result of a logical shift that cannot be performed in binary addition. Answer is too large to represent in the binary in the number of bits available. Answer is too small to represent in the number of bits available. So out of these, which is the best option? Exactly, option number C. So if you have ticked this one, you will score 1 out of 1. Easy? Maybe move ahead. Did you all score 1 out of 1 in this part? Okay, move ahead. Let's move to the next question. Question number 2. An artist creates an image on a computer. State what is meant by the color depth of an image. The definition of color depth. And a student can write number of bits used to represent each color. He will score. Or a child could have written number of colors that can be represented. So any one out of these can be written. Like for example, a student can write this or he can write this. Both are the correct ways and he will definitely be scoring the marks here. See, a student can write number of bits used to represent each color or number of colors that can be represented. These both are the right answers for the definition of for the color depth. Okay. Any questions, any ambiguity? This is what you need to know. You need to write accurately and you'll be able to score. Part B, describe the relationship between the resolution of the image and the file size of the image. Now, what is the relationship between the two? The higher the resolution, the more the pixels, and definitely there will be more bits that will be needed to store the image, and the file size will be larger. So here you can see, if, for example, resolution is higher, means there are more pixels. And when there are more pixels means it will be occupying more bits, and definitely the file size is going to be larger. So this is how you can easily score 2 out of 2. If you have written the definition as the explanation as is written in the 2 bullet points, and you will be able to score 2 out of 2. Any questions? Okay. Part C. The artist compresses the image file before uploading it to their website. Users can download the image file from the website to print as a poster. The image file is compressed using lossless compression. Explain the reasons why the artist chose lossless compression instead of lossy compression, to compress this image file. Okay, now you have to tell the reason that why the artist has chosen the lossless compression method instead of lossy compression method. Yes, what are the reasons for that? Exactly, that's great, Ali, that we remember that actually when you talk about the lossy compression, the file size will definitely be reduced more, but there is loss of quality. So if the artist wants to retain the quality, he doesn't want to compromise on the quality of the image, then he should be going for lossless compression. And that is what is written here, as you can see. It's going to be it's a 3-mark question, so they expect the student to write down 3 valid points. So if you have understood the whole thing properly, then you can actually frame a very good answer for your own self. Like the artist wants to provide a high quality image. Lossless will reduce the file size, but retain all parts of the image. Like this is what it will happen. The artist does not want to lose the quality, and that is why he will choose the lossless compression method. The artist does not want any of the images to be lost when downloaded. Lossy will definitely reduce the file size and will reduce the quality also. Like definitely it might be resulting in the loss of the color. It might be resulting in the loss of resolution. Definitely if it's actually decreasing the size, it must be some reasons for that. And the reasons are going to be the colors are not going to be as clear, as crisp as they are in your lossless compression. So maybe the resolution of the picture is not going to be as is present in lossless compression, and that is why he'll prefer to go with a lossless compression method. Image may be small in file size anyway, and because the server has enough space, because maybe the problem is not the storage at all, because the server has enough space to store the images, and the download time is not the major concern of the users also. Like there can be different reasons. A few of them are cited here for your reference, and you can just think, but just be very clear. Lossless is definitely going to be used in situations when you want the quality and you don't want to compromise on the quality. Then you prefer to go with your lossless compression. But in case quality is not the major concern, and maybe the speed of the transmission is your major concern, or maybe the storage capacity is your major concern, then we prefer to go with lossy compression. Okay, even the download time is not the major concern, upload time is not the major concern. So in these cases, you have to just think and then frame your answer. And remember, it's explanation. So for that, they expect the students to write fully explained answers, and just practice that also, okay? Maybe move ahead. You can see the advantages of lossless compression over lossy compression. Now, identify one lossless method of compressing an image. And you can see, describe your chosen image. And this is what we have studied actually. RLE or run length encoding. And you can see it is going to be with respect to the images. Now, be very clear. Just I'm actually telling you, it's a 3-mark question. Means 1 mark for identifying the method, which you have identified as RLE or run length encoding, and the 2 other marks are for describing it properly. See, now you can say stored consecutive pixels of the same color. Now be clear. This is your major concern. This is your main thing, that you need to mention that in this RLE, you will not talk in general. Here, the compression is linked with the images. So you have to talk about with respect to the images. And in images, it's the pixels of the same color. And they will be stored as the number of repetitions, the color, and the number of repetitions. So we have talked about, normally we talk about normally when we talk about the compression, lossless compression especially, we say number of consecutive values, number of consecutive letters or the characters. So be clear, it's image. So that is why you need to mention consecutive pixels of same color are going to be stored together as a color, and the number of repetitions, like maybe the red color, it's going to be, the color is red and it is repeated maybe 10 times. So the red color and the number of repetitions are going to be stored, and that is how the RLE compression method will work to reduce the size of the file. Are we all clear about it? Any issues, any ambiguity? Will we move ahead? Okay. The artist emails the image file to their friends. Explain how a file is broken down into packets and transmitted over a network. It's a 5-mark question. So just be clear. You are going to talk about both the things. That's why I've highlighted it with different colors. So you can see you are going to first of all talk about how a file is broken into packets. So definitely what comes to your mind? Packets means, what comes to your mind? Okay, that's great, Ahmed. We talk about the trailer, we talk about the payload, we talk about the header. Okay. And we talk about the destination addresses that to whom the data will be sent and then transmitted over a network. How is it transmitted over a network? So you have to divide your answer in such a manner that some marks are going to be reserved for how our file is broken into packets, and then some marks are going to be reserved for transmission over a network. So let's see, how will you get the answer? First of all, we have talked about data is split into fixed sized packets, and the data is in the payload, which you remember, the data is actually the payload. Each packet is having a header, which has the destination IP address, and each packet is a trailer also. So in this manner, you have talked about the packets. What is it? A fixed size packets are there. The packet has a payload, the packet which is the actual data, the packet has a header, which is containing the a destination IP address, and it also has a trailer talking about the end of the packet. Then you will move on to how is it transmitted? Definitely the role of the router. So you can see here, router is now going to direct the packet towards the destination. And definitely the router's job, as we have been talking about all the time, its job is to select the best possible path, most efficient route to reach the destination. So this is what the router is doing. And each packet might take a different route, and the packets can arrive out of order. And once they are reaching the destination, then on the receiver's end, the packets will be reordered. That is why we can see the packet numbers are there. So we can put them in the right order once they are received on the receiver's end. So this is how you can see 5 marks are there. You have to actually know, don't talk about only transmission over the network or talk about the packets. You have to divide your answer so intelligently that definitely the examiner will have to give you the marks. And just as a hint, 1 mark is given for each point and maximum 3 points there. 3 points, 1 mark is given to each and maximum 3 points there. Maybe a student can write down 3 marks. 3 points for filing for the data being broken into packets and 2 marks for the transmission or vice versa. So, but just be intelligent that you have to, that is why it is given, it is broken here so that you can remember that this is how you have to frame your answer. First part will be breaking the data into packets. Some points are reserved for that. And then you will talk about how will those packets be transmitted over the network, definitely the use of router, taking different routes. Each packet may take a different route to reach the destination. And then on the receiver's end, they are all reordered so that they are going to be able to be understood on the receiver's end. Okay, part 2. Any questions? Okay, part 2. The packets can use many different methods of data transmission to travel. Complete and annotate the diagram to show the difference between serial full duplex transmission between 2 computers and parallel simplex transmission between 2 computers. So now here in the paper, the 2 computers were drawn and they have written serial full duplex transmission and parallel simplex transmission. So just recall, what is serial transmission? I think you remember. Serial means, and full duplex means, can we recall? Serial means what? 1 wire. That's great. And both ways at the same time is going to be your, what is it? Exactly. That is why we are doing it like this, because so that we can remember serial means one wire and full duplex means both ways at the same time. That's why you can see here one wire and both ways at the same time is drawn like this. Both at the same time. Understand? Yes, just in this manner, like they are expecting the students to write down, annotate and draw the diagram. Annotate the diagram basically. So here you were supposed to just draw a line intelligently so that you can show, and you have to write this down also to make the concept clearer, that serial means one wire and full duplex means both ways at the same time. So similarly, parallel means multiple wires and simplex means both ways. Is it both ways? Yes, simplex means what? One way, exactly. This is the mistake, and you have to see it. That is what is the intelligence that is shown by Ali. That's great, wonderful. Parallel means multiple wires, and simplex means one way at a time. Isn't it? One way at the same time, isn't it? So you can see here. Here the direction is from computer 1 to computer 2, one direction only, one way only, but there are multiple wires. Okay, understood? Parallel means we can talk about the multiple wires, and then simplex means one direction. That is shown here, one way. One direction, one way at a time is going to be the main thing. Understood this clearly? And you will be definitely scoring 3 out of 3 if you have written the small material properly, you have drawn the lines properly, you have drawn the arrows properly, the marks are yours. Okay, fine. Question number 3, can we move? Okay, fine. A computer has a central processing unit, memory, and secondary storage. The computer has a von Neumann architecture. Circle 3 registers that are found in the von Neumann architecture. Now, I'm giving you time. Do it quickly, and then we will discuss. Done? Now, which are the correct options? Which are the correct registers? Accumulator, arithmetic register, binary counter, binary register, control register, current data register, current instruction register, data counter, instruction counter, logical register, program counter, storage register. So which are the correct options here? Are we all done? Now the first one is accumulator, correct. Good. Second one, current data register. That is the trick. It's current instruction register, CIR. And then it's the program counter. So have we all scored full marks in this one? Yes. See, you score 3 out of 3 if you have highlighted, if you have circled the 3 registers properly, and there were a few close calls like current data register. So that is not the right thing. It is by the way, data register, which one is it? Memory data register, exactly. Memory data register and memory address register. So actually the right answers are these 3. So if you've written them properly, definitely you are going to score the marks. Understood? Maybe move ahead. Okay. Now, part B. State the purpose of CPU in the computer. See, it's so simple. Purpose of CPU, what does it do actually? By the way, do we humans also have CPU? And our brain, exactly. That's great, Ali. That our brain is the CPU, and here the CPU is doing what? It's there to process the instructions and data to produce the output. So this is the definition that we have been studying since our childhood, and we know the definition of what the processor is meant to do, CPU is meant to do. It is there to execute or process the instructions and data to produce the result, to produce the output. Or a student could have written perform, fetch, decode, execute cycle. They both are correct. Okay. Now, part C. Computer A has a 2.1 gigahertz quad core processor. Computer B has a 2.5 gigahertz dual core processor. Computer C has a 5.2 gigahertz single core processor. Identify which computer is most likely to execute more instructions simultaneously. Out of these three, a quad core means how many cores, by the way? 4 cores exactly. Dual core means 2 core or 2 processors or 2 complete sets of processing units, and single core means only 1. So definitely this is going to be your computer A. And now they're expecting us to justify our answer. By the way, again, ABC, 3 processors are here, 3 computers are here given to me. So 1 mark will be for identifying the computer. That is, we have identified computer A because it is a quad core. And then I have to justify my answer. So justification is going to be, since it has this quad core means it has 4 cores, and each core will execute 1 instruction at a time. So it means that 4 instructions will be executed at the same time. Assume in such a manner, for example, just think of this thing we have discussed in that just assume it has 4 hands. So 4 hands means 4 tasks being handled. So definitely 4 cores, 4 complete sets of instructions being processed. Definitely that will be making it work 4 times more. And that is what is mentioned here. Is going to make your work much better. Okay. It's going to be processing your instructions faster. 4 instructions can be executed at the same time. Explain why computer C can execute more instructions per second than computer B. Now, there is a call between C and B. Now, why is computer C better? Why is computer C able to execute more instructions? Now, this is, since you can see, computer C has a 5.2 gigahertz processor, while computer B has a 2.5 gigahertz processor. So this gigahertz is denoting the processing capacity, the processing instruction, the processing of the instruction. So that is what is mentioned here. It has a higher clock speed, and it is able to process more fetch, decode, execute cycles are going to be processed at the same time in 1 second, and more instructions can be executed per second. So it was a 2-mark question. So a student is supposed to mention, first of all, 2.5 and 5.2. Definitely 5.2 gigahertz means a higher clock speed, and higher clock speed means it can process more instructions per second as compared to computer B, which has a smaller clock speed and can process lesser number of instructions. So this is how they have given you 3 different processors with their values, and they had asked us to identify which one is going to be executing more instructions, and definitely now comparison between the rest of the 2, and then this is how you are able to score 3 and 2 marks very easily. And besides the 3 also, if you have actually understood the whole process very well. Now, all 3 computers have the same instruction set. Define the term instruction set. Now, this is such a simple definition that can be understood and learned by you people in a short span of time. Instruction set, it's basically a list of all the commands that can be processed by a CPU. Just remember, list of all the commands. A CPU is meant to process the commands, the instructions it is given to. So it is a list of all the instructions or the command that can be processed by the CPU. Like our CPU also has a list of instructions. Similarly, a computer CPU is able to follow and solve a certain list of instructions, a list of commands. So the list of all the commands that can be understood, that can be processed by the CPU, is the definition of instruction set. Please learn it. It is so easy, and you will easily score 1 out of 1 if you have written the right definition. And it's so easy to remember, isn't it? A list of commands processed by the CPU. So simple. Maybe move to the next question. Okay, any issues? Till now, we are done with 3 questions. Any problem, any ambiguity, anything that is unclear? Okay, question number 4. That's wonderful. An ATM is a device where a person inserts their bank card and can request to withdraw the money. The ATM also allows the person to check how much money they have in their bank account. So this is just a description of ATM, which we already are, alhamdulillah, aware of. Part A. A sensor is used to detect when a person stands within 1 meter of the ATM. When a person is detected, a welcoming message is displayed on the screen. Identify an appropriate sensor for the ATM to use to detect a person. So detect a person, definitely the very first option is infrared sensor. Or a person can write motion sensor. By the way, this is maybe some student has written movement sensor also, but I will recommend that you better go for, the best answer is infrared sensor and a motion sensor. I'll suggest you to go with these two, with any of these 2 answers to score 1 out of 1. Easy? Okay. Now, part B, part 2. Describe the role of the describe the role of the microprocessor in detecting the person. So you can see half of the answer is hidden in the question. The role of processor, what does it do actually? A 3-mark question. So what is it doing? It receives data. Now just recall your chapter number 3 sensor. It's again a repetition of the same we discussed in chapter number 6. And embedded system also. So we have been discussing this in the class quite frequently. We know how to answer this question. So it's a 3-mark question. And you will score 3 out of 3 if you have mentioned any of the 3 bulleted points. Receive data, digital data continuously from the sensor. This is the first thing that we know. Uses sensor data to calculate distance to person is identified. Compares calculated data from the sensor to the stored data, that is 1 meter. If the data indicates less than or equal to 1 meter, the person is detected, and the processor sends a signal to display the welcome message on the screen. So just remember the 3 valid points. First one is constantly sending the digitized data from the sensor to the computer to the processor, then comparing it with the value that is being stored, like the object is going to be detected. So to see that whether is any person in the in closest location of 1 meters. As soon as a person comes closer, he is within 1 meters, then a message is going to be there indicating that the person welcome message will be displayed on the screen, displaying to tell the person to welcome the person. So welcome message will appear on the screen in case the person is within the 1 meter location. See, this is how you will score 3 out of 3. Okay, now a 2-mark question. Describe the features of the ATM that identify it as an embedded system. See, features of ATM that make it an embedded system. So what is it the feature of an embedded system? And we know very well embedded systems are going to function for dedicatedly for one task only. They are special purpose devices, and they have dedicated hardware. Like for example, an ATM is only there to dispense cash. Its hardware is only meant to dispense cash, no other thing. It's not going to do any other thing except for what it is designed for. So since ATM has a dedicated function, it's designed for one particular task only. It is not a general purpose machine like our computers that we use. That is why this is the feature that is making it become an embedded system. Similarly, it has a dedicated hardware. Like its machine is only there to perform the dispense of cash. So that is also a feature that is making it an embedded system. So since it is a 2-mark question, so this is how you can score easily if you have written the answers intelligently, like dedicated function or special purpose device or not a general purpose device. And the point is you can mention that it's using a dedicated hardware, and that hardware is there to only perform the ATM functions, like it is there to dispense cash only mainly. So this is, or definitely is dispense cash, or maybe some other slips are also given through the ATM, but it is only doing the dedicated task, no other task except for what it is designed for. In this manner, we can score 2 out of 2. Easy? Okay. The ATM has a touch screen and a keypad. The ATM may need to be used by people who are unable to see. Identify one other input device and one other output device that can be built into the ATM to help people who are unable to see, like the blind people, or maybe the visually impaired people. So for them, which is the best input device? Definitely they can't key in. So for them, it's going to be a braille keyboard, or they can use a microphone to give verbal instructions as input form, and for output, they may use speakers or headphones. Rather than watching it on the screen, they can hear the instructions through speakers or through headphones. So this is how you can score 2 out of 2 by identifying the input and the output device intelligently. Easy? Okay, question number 5. Any questions till now? Okay, question number 5. A computer is connected to a network. Part A. The computer has a network interface card and IC that has a media access control address or a MAC address. One purpose of an IC is to provide the computer with a MAC address. Okay? Describe the other purposes of the NIC. See, this is one that we have been. Now, what is NIC doing? See, in reality, NIC or network interface card, just be clear about the term interface. So interface is actually meant to create a compatibility, to create a link between two things. So here you can see, what is it doing? It's receiving data from the network and convert it into a form that will be understood by the computer. See, for example, this is I have a computer which has an NIC connected. So definitely this NIC means it is connected to the network. So the moment I am a part of the network, maybe WAN or LAN, so my NIC, my computer's NIC is going to receive the data, fine, from the network. The data is traveling over the network. So this is destined for my PC, so it will be received by my PC, and my NIC or my computer's NIC will receive the data. And its job is then to convert it into a form which will be understood by the computer. That is the main thing. Besides it, it will convert data from the computer to a form to be transmitted over the network. So it's not doing one thing. It's not doing one way job only. Its job is, for example, now I am there to send the data. So here, again, NIC will be getting the data from the computer, from my computer, and will be transmitting it over the network. And again, the job will be now as a sender. Earlier, it was working as a receiver to get the data over the network and will translate it into a form understood by the computer. Similarly, on our end, when the data is to be sent, it will still be doing the same thing, definitely translating it into a form so that it can be transmitted over the network. And it is there to allow a physical connection between a computer and a network. So you can actually see it's a physical piece of equipment. It's a hardware equipment. And this is there to create a physical connection between a computer and the network. By the way, remember I've shown you the NIC? I mean, you have touched it, you have seen it, you know that how does it look like. So it's creating a physical link between a computer and a network. Yes, exactly, Ali. Some people call it LAN card also. But the actual term is network interface card. And I've highlighted the term interface for you to remember that interface means creating a link. So just remember that it is there to create a link between the computer and the network so that it can get the data and it can send the data. Receival and transmission of data is possible and is creating a physical connection also. Okay, now it's your favorite question. Identify 3 characteristics of a MAC address. What do you remember about the MAC address? Yes, exactly, hexadecimal value. And what else? Done? Numbers are separated by colons. Numbers are separated by colons, and it's a six group of digits, which are the sets of 2-digit hex numbers. If you remember that, basically it's composed of 48 bits. A student can write 48 bits also. So this is going to be the 3 characteristics of your MAC address. By the way, is MAC address changeable? Just asking, just a sort of revision. Are MAC addresses changing or are they fixed? That's great. Wonderful, Ahmed, that you remember that MAC addresses are fixed values. Normally, they rarely change, except for they can change in some situations also, and that is what they are called as LAA, locally administered MAC addresses. The ones that do not change are universally administered MAC addresses, and the ones that might change are locally administered MAC addresses, or LAA. Great, wonderful. Along with that, IP address is also something that we need to know. Fine. Now, part B. The network allocates an internet protocol or IP address to the computer. Allocates. Tick one box to identify a valid IPv4 address. Now, valid IPv4. By the way, these are 4 addresses. Very quickly identify which one do you think is the wrong one and why. Why we will discuss later. But right now, first of all, identify which one is the valid one and which one isn't the valid one. Done? Which one is the valid one, by the way? Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. By the way, just identify why Part A is incorrect. Okay, that's wonderful, Azad. It's basically the use of a dot, and here they are using a colon sign. And we know that MAC addresses are using colon and IP addresses are using a dot, and that is a mistake, basically. That's why it is invalid. Now, what about this? Why is it invalid? 1.30.2ff.a9, they are correct. So what's the problem here? Great, Ahmed. It's basically the use of hexadecimal, and that is basically, normally we know that your IP addresses are actually composed of denary numbers. So that is why it is an invalid address. Now, H.0.257.6.8. So what is the problem here? Okay, 2 problems. Great. Wonderful, Ali. I'm really very happy you have identified basically it is 5, which is wrong. It is not possible. And beside this, it is containing 257. And this is what we know, that the value is going to be from 0 to 255. This is what we know very well. Note it down for your own self that actually the value that is going to be present in your valid IP address is a value between 0 and 255. Between 0 and 255. It cannot go beyond this. So just note down for your own self so that you will remember the reason that why these are invalid. Like a question can come in your paper where they can give you different IP addresses and they can say that which one has an error and why the error is there. I mean, since they can frame a question in any manner. So you need to be good enough to identify the problem and you need to tell the right answer also. Okay, understood? Noted? If we move ahead. Okay. Now let's move to the next part. Identify the device in a network that can automatically assign an IP address to a computer each time the computer connects to the network. Now, this is really a close call. Some of you might have written DHCP as Ahmed has mentioned. So it's a router. And why is it a router? Identify the device in a network that can automatically assign an IP address to a computer each time the computer connects to the network. So it's a router and not DHCP. Okay. Part C. A user accesses the World Wide Web using a web browser. Define the term World Wide Web. See, it's so simple. The collection of websites and web pages accessed during the internet using the internet. The websites are hosted on the internet or web servers. So if you have defined this term well, you will be definitely scoring the marks. If you have mentioned it properly, the uniform resource locator now, the collection of websites and web pages accessed using the internet, and the websites are hosted on the internet server or the web server. So this is how you will actually score your marks. Part 2. The URL for a website includes the protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, secure, HTTPS. Explain how HTTPS makes the transmission of data secure. Now, here they're asking you a 4-mark question. In a 4-mark question, how is HTTPS actually working? So if you remember that what is actually HTTPS doing, how is it doing the work? So the first thing is it uses the SSL or TLS protocol, if you remember. And even if you don't remember the full form, no problem. You can simply mention SSL. That's perfectly okay. Or similarly, if you don't remember the full form, no worries at all. You can mention TLS. That's also perfectly okay. And basically, this is what is going to definitely give you 1 mark, because link HTTPS with the padlock or the SSL and TLS fine. And what is it doing? It is encrypting the data. And encryption of data is now done using asymmetric encryption. And you remember that basically the asymmetric means it's the use of the private key and the public key. So the data is encrypted using the web server's public key, and the data can only be decrypted by the web server's private key. And data is transmitted to the server, which can only be decrypted by the server. So actually, when you talk about the HTTPS being secure, so main reason is the use of SSL or TLS, these are the 2 protocols that are present there, and it is there to encrypt the data. And if you have talked about asymmetric encryption and the use of private and public key, then definitely you will be able to score the marks. Like, be clear, you talk about the terms SSL or TLS. Like, okay, now let me highlight the main thing that you need to write down in your answer to score. Then you can talk about the encryption of data using asymmetric encryption. Then you can talk about the public key and the private key. If you have actually identified these terms before you start answering, then definitely you can easily score 4 out of 4. So see, you've talked about SSL because HTTPS is linked with SSL or the padlock, as we have learned. Then encryption of the data that we already know. Then we have talked about asymmetric because that is secure. We want security of the data. That is what it is asymmetric. And asymmetric means public and private key. And definitely the decryption of the data will take place by the private key, and the data will be encrypted using the public key. So in this manner, if you have scored, you have written all the major points properly, explained them properly, then definitely marks are yours. And data can only be transmitted to the server can only be decrypted by the server. See, this is how the data will be secured, because it will not be decrypted over the like transmission line. It is secure, it is asymmetric, means it will be only decrypted on the server's end. Okay, it's not difficult, it's easy. The protocol is one part of a URL. Give the other 2 parts of a URL. Protocol is given to us. So which are the other 2 parts of a URL? Exactly, domain name and file name. And a student can write down web page name, a student can write down directory name. So basically, domain name is something that should be written by every child. And the second one is going to be either a web page or a file name or a directory name. So they all are the correct options. That's why they are written with a slash in between. Any questions? Question number 6. A search engine uses AI to identify the most relevant web pages for the user. One characteristic of AI is the ability to learn. Identify 3 other characteristics of AI. Now, 3 other characteristics. Now, what are the characteristics? Collection of data, tools for data, ability to reason, ability to adapt. So these are the main characteristics of AI system. One is it is able to collect the data from the surroundings. It has some rules for data collection and data retrieval. It has the ability to learn. It has the ability to reason. Ability to learn is already defined. Ability to reason and ability to adapt. So if you have identified any 3 out of these 4 points, you will be scoring 3 out of 3 just by identifying the other characteristics of an AI model. Okay. The search engine uses machine learning. Explain how machine learning is used by the search engine. Now, it's a 3-mark question. Now, just be clear. Questions are nowadays coming from this chapter number 6, AI, machine learning, expert systems. So be cautious that you have to prepare your answers so well and you have to explain them so well that the examiner gives you marks. So how will you score? Any 3. Now, what is happening in your machine learning? It is going to changes its data and rules according to the feedback or the results it is getting. For example, if a result does not give a suitable response, then next time the result is changed, and that is what it is intelligent, isn't it? Like, for example, if I talk about a child who is intelligent enough, if he has answered a question, and if the teacher says no, now it is not the correct answer. So he, being an intelligent person, will be able to frame his answer next time in a better manner. Similarly, the same thing is happening with the machine learning algorithms also. So that is why they are dependent on the feedback. So the moment the result is not as per the feedback, is not as per like the expectation, the feedback is not the correct one. So it will immediately be relearning from its own and will be changing the result in future. So that is what it is doing. Besides this, a student can talk about supervised learning also or unsupervised learning also, where the use of labeled data to train models for prediction, while it is unsupervised, where there is no unlabeled data, where there's no labeled data, or in other words, it's using unlabeled data to discover the patterns. Or a student can write down use of ranking. Like, for example, it will decide that which is going to appear first. So whichever search engine, like, for example, you can see, nowadays we see that the search engine is working on different values, and it is finding out like it's working on all the time, and it's finding out the relevant things, and it's including it in search, in its index. So that is how it is ranking. It is going to see that which website should come at the top. So that is what is the job of user ranking algorithm, to decide which appears first, which thing will come first. So a student can write any 3 points and he will be able to score. A 3-mark question regarding machine learning used in this by the search engine, and this is how you will score the marks. Any questions? Now, question number 7. Programs can be written in a high-level language or a low-level language. Machine code is one type of low-level language. Identify one other type of low-level language and identify the translator that is needed for the type of low-level language you have identified. So see, we have mentioned machine code, and they're talking about low-level language. So definitely what is left is assembly. And the translator is assembler. See, so simple, isn't it? Assembly and assembler. This is what we have learned, that low-level language is machine language, machine code, and assembly language or assembly code. So one is given to me, machine code, and the rest was assembly, and the translator is assembler. So simple. Okay, part B. A high-level language can be translated into a low-level language using a compiler or an interpreter. Describe the advantage of using an interpreter instead of a compiler during software development. Now be clear, during software development, what are the advantages? Why should we prefer to use an interpreter rather than a compiler? So it's a 4-mark question. See, it's so easy. Because you know that translation of translation by a compiler means it is translating the entire program in one go into machine language. While if you talk about the interpreter, it's translating each statement and executing it before the next instruction is translated or executed. It means it is taking one instruction, one statement, translating it and executing it. And it stops. The translator stops. Interpreter stops when an error is found. The moment an error is found, an error is encountered, the interpreter will stop execution of the program and can correct and continue from where it has stopped. Like, for example, if your program is composed of 10 lines and the error was found in line number 3, so the interpreter will stop, it will show you the error, you have corrected it, and it may continue from where it had stopped. And it does not need to retranslate all the code again, unlike a compiler. And the best thing about an interpreter is it can be used to test sections of the code. And that is why we can just do like once we are done with the whole process of checking, we are okay with our program development. We know that our program is working as per our requirement. Then what we can do is we can go for the use of compiler in the end once we are given the program for final use, once we are giving it to the end users. So during the program development, it's always preferred to translate your program using interpreter. And once you are okay with the whole thing, then use a compiler in the end. See, you have studied these questions, you have answered these questions, you have studied the whole stuff, but the question is framed a little differently. That is the only change. Otherwise, it's something that you have been studying, isn't it? It's the same. But the only change is the way they are framing the questions. So be clear, be cautious, and inshallah, you'll be able to attempt the paper in your also. Now, part C. Integrated Development Environments, or IDEs, provide translators. Identify 3 other common functions of an IDE. 3 other, apart from providing the translators, what else are there? So you can see a long list. Code editor, runtime environment, with a debugger. You can talk about error diagnostics or debugging tools, or a student can write down breakpoints or single stepping, or watch window, or report window, autocomplete, autocorrect, pretty printing or syntax highlighting, collapse or expand the blocks, auto documentation, line numbers. See, there are so many things which can be found in an IDE. Easy to remember. Just remember, identify, just recall your Python editor that we have been using in our program. So just recall that Python editor, close your eyes, recall the Python editor, and whatever is striking your mind, then write them down properly, and you are scoring 3 out of 3 here. Autocomplete, autocorrect, pretty printing, auto documentation, line numbers are there. And some of the features are available in your Python IDE, and some are available in some other IDEs, but that is a general question of different IDEs. Okay? Any issues? Okay, how was the how was the learning journey? Hope that you have understood the whole concept. The revision is thoroughly done, inshallah. You'll be able to do well. Jazakallahu khairan kasira for being a part of the learning journey. Hope that you have liked the explanation. Please subscribe my channel, share with your friends and family so they all are going to benefit from it. And do not forget to click on the bell icon so that you are getting the latest updates of the videos as soon as they are uploaded. Allah Hafiz. Take very good care of yourselves, and Allah Hafiz.